Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 23 of Was I in the Wrong? Before we get into the stories, just a reminder to please engage with the content. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review. If you are watching on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe for more, share it with a friend. And if you are engaging on socials, comment with your thoughts on the stories. First up, story number 1 is coming to us from r/AITAH. AITA for allowing my dad to give any of my late mom's jewelry to his fiancée or their daughters. My mom died when I, 26 female, was 12. When I was 15, my dad gave me all her things after an overeager ex of his tried to take some of mom's stuff for herself, which resulted in me yelling at the woman and her trying to slap me for disrespecting her and dad breaking up with her. It wasn't the first time someone had shown an interest in some of it. His sister wanted a pearl pendant that belonged to Mom, and she even tried to steal it. Dad told me that Mom wanted her things to go to me, so he was respecting her wishes. After he gave it all to me, I packed it up and sent it to my grandparents for safekeeping. My dad met his fiancée when I was 17. The two of us did not connect, and I moved out when I turned 18, which is when they started having children. Now they have 5 together, and they're due to get married in February 2026. He has 2 daughters, 7 and 6, with his fiancée, and he told me recently he wanted to give the 3 of them a gift from Mom's collection of jewelry. He wants his fiancée to have my mom's claddagh ring that she got in her teens. He wants a necklace he bought Mom for their wedding for the oldest of his and his fiancée's 2 daughters, and a bracelet he bought Mom for the younger daughter. He told me his fiancée was also in love with a watch my mom owned, and he suggested I could give it to her as a wedding gift, since the 2 of us have had a rough time connecting, and he feels like it would make her feel welcome. My answer to all of it was no. I didn't hesitate in saying it or beat around the bush. I was honest. My answer was no. He told me it was the right thing to do and that it shows we're all one family. I told him, be that as it may, he could buy them jewelry if he wanted, but my mom was not their family, and like he said, she wanted all of her things to go to me. His fiancée asked me what kind of daughter I'm being to her. She's 12 years older than me for fluff's sake. And what kind of sister I was being. She said all of her kids could get something of my mom's stuff, and it would truly make us all feel like a family. Then she brought it back around to her and how she deserved to have the ring that my dad talked a lot about, even more than his or Mom's wedding ring. I told her that was too bad for her and the ring was mine now. Just like all of it belongs to me now. And she and her kids were getting none of it. Talk about materialistic. My dad sent me a long text telling me for his sake he hopes I reconsider because this is breaking his heart and putting him in a difficult spot. AITA? No, OP, you are not the asshole. You are 1,000% right. The only one who put your dad in a difficult spot is him and his materialistic fiancée because he should have shut this down from the start. Years ago, it doesn't seem like that many years ago, he gave it all to you. He said your mom wanted you to have all of it. So he gave it to you, rightly so. Thankfully, he did the right thing there. But now, after all this time, your mom's jewelry being given to his new family is supposed to make you all feel like family? No, it's jewelry. You're not going to connect any closer because you gave up something that you didn't want to give up. As soon as the fiancé said something about liking that watch so much or wanting this ring or whatever, he should have said, that belongs to my daughter. That is from her mom. Her mom was not a part of this family. That belongs to my daughter. End of discussion. He never should have asked you about it and made you be the one to say no. He should have said no. So, you're right. Your dad sucks. And I am really glad that you just immediately shut it down and stood your ground. I'm also glad that it's all in safekeeping. But considering that I don't know if he has access to your grandparents' place, I'm sure he knows where they live. But given how much they seem to want this, I would consider spending money, at least for a while, on a safety deposit box at a bank and putting it all there where you know 100% no one can access it without your consent. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITA for distancing my girlfriend while she has had bad mood for no reason. I, 27 male, tried to ask my girlfriend, 29 female today, if I behaved correctly after we were on a day-long city trip. To get some context, she is an introvert, has a social battery which empties till the end of the day pretty frequently. Today we had a really great day and were out for dinner before heading home after a long day. As we got ice cream, she started to make passive-aggressive comments more frequently. Regularly, I can just ignore that, but after the long day, it impacted my mood as well. We got up and walked to the train station. She wanted to navigate, didn't find the entrance, and as I spotted it and tried to tell her where it is, she just snapped and got angry. I then asked what was up with her, and she told me, I have no tolerance anymore, and it was a long day. I then started to build distance and answered everything as little as I could. My thinking is, she's in a bad mood and I can't change it. She will eventually drag me down with her when I don't protect myself. Therefore, I started with distance. Didn't ignore her, but tried not to look at her often, and as I said, just speak the least amount with her. As we got to our hotel, she changed her mood immediately, was nice, and started laughing. I couldn't switch that fast and wanted to ask her if that is how I should proceed when she has that bad mood. We frequently talk about behavior regarding each other. She snapped at me that I would ignore her, didn't listen to me, and make her feel that we can only interact when she has a good mood. She then told me that she doesn't think that I would mean that, but that it sounds like that. Then she stood up, got into the bath, and sleeps now without any further speaking to me. I really wanted to explain to her that it's just for phases in which I myself can't handle passive aggressiveness without reason anymore, but she is still pissed and doesn't think she is any wrong. I excuse myself for the things I said and for taking a bad time spot to speak about that. I also mentioned that I don't think it's proper discussion to not let the partner finish sentences, putting words in my mouth, and then just getting away without really hearing my point. I now can't sleep and try to process everything. So, AITA. I don't know if this person is an original English speaker, but that was very hard to piece together. It probably sounded weird. I probably read that slower. I was trying to make it make sense. I mean, this is a mess. We're going to call this one a mess. I think in parts you're both wrong. She is definitely the most wrong for being in a bad mood, being passive aggressive, and making snide comments without any obvious reason and without making her reasoning clear. I say she's most wrong because of the way she switched back after you got back to the hotel, and she just expected you to go along with it. That's hard to go along with because you don't really know, like, is that person actually happy now? Can they switch that fast? Or are they putting on some kind of show for some reason? Like, that kind of fast switch is confusing when the behavior is that different. That's why I think she's wrong. I think you're wrong because you distanced yourself and silenced yourself in the moment without saying why. I think it would have been better if you would have said, you're being passive aggressive right now. I don't want to be in the same bad mood you're in, so I'm going to distance myself. Just explaining your actions, I feel like can help, or your choice of actions can help to keep her from getting in a worse mood. Like, as though she might feel like you're punishing her for the way she's acting when you're just trying to protect yourself. And making that clear, I think it probably would have been better timing to handle it in the moment than to try to address it afterwards when she's already decided to be happy, because then you're bringing her back down. Yes, you're bringing her down the same way that she was bringing you down and she didn't care, but I think if, she was back to being happy, I just would have taken advantage of the fact that she was happy, and whenever you guys were back home, then have a conversation and be like, hey, you remember when we were out in the city? You got in a bad mood when we were getting back to the train station after ice cream, and then all of a sudden you were happy again when we got to the hotel, and I just don't understand what happened. Can you explain it to me? I think that would have been better than kind of ruining the evening by bringing the bad mood back up when she was over it. Yeah, so this one's a mess. Everyone could have done better. Yeah. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITAH for ending a friendship because I felt used and hurt. I, 32 female, used to be very close with my best friend. Last year, after her breakup, my then partner, 38 male, and I took her and her daughter in. We helped her move and let them stay at our place for 3 weeks. During that time, she didn't contribute at all, not to housework, cooking, groceries, or even getting her daughter to school. At first, she was injured, but after a few days she had recovered and still didn't help. I ended up driving her daughter to school every morning, which meant a 1-hour trip before I even started work. My partner only looked after himself and his daughter, not mine, and didn't support me either. I was completely burned out and overwhelmed, but he kept telling me I was just overreacting. When my friend and her daughter finally moved out, I got a thank you and a bouquet of flowers. That was nice, but honestly, something inside me felt broken. I kept contact with her minimal afterward because I was emotionally drained. Fast forward to November 2024, I ended my relationship because my mental health was declining fast. I let her know what was going on, and she promised to help me move. But when the time came, she never showed up. I was hurt and disappointed, and when I confronted her, she said I was overreacting. Again. We had a big argument, and I decided to go low contact. I was dealing with a burnout and depression, and this just made everything worse. A month ago, we got into another fight. I finally told her honestly that I feel hurt and used. I also found out she had been saying untrue things about me to my ex. That was the final straw, and I decided to end the friendship. AITAH for cutting her off completely? No, you're not the asshole. You're right for cutting her off, but you should have done it a long time ago. I think the way I read that, there were 3 incidents. Yeah, she lived with you guys, did nothing to help during the time that she was there, basically put her daughter off on you without a word. After that, in November 2024, she was supposed to help you move. She was a no-show. And again, she gaslit you, told you you were the one overreacting. And then finally, after the 3rd fight, or the 3rd issue, is when you ended it. But I think only really because of the things that she was saying to your ex. Obviously, ending this is right because it wasn't a friendship. It wasn't a friendship. She needed things from you. She got those things. And when you needed something, when you needed help, she wasn't there for you. And expecting help from your friends is not expecting too much. This was a one-sided relationship. I'm not going to call it a friendship. And you're completely right for cutting it off. She was using you. And I just hope you have better friends in your life. So if I didn't say it already, you're right. This was really messy. I think it should have happened sooner, but ultimately your decision to cut her off is right. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/AITH. Would I be the asshole for snapping at a woman who kept making comments about my child's name, saying it's a tragedy? My son is named the way it's spelled. It's RHYS. I read it Rice. But it says, my son is named, the spelling, like Reese. A woman asked, why the hell would you spell it like that? I told her it's the Welsh spelling. She asked, why though? I said, because I'm Welsh, and my son is Welsh, born in Wales, live in Wales. She continued to make comments and said it belonged in the tragedy sub on here. I made a point of saying it's a perfectly acceptable cultural spelling of the name Reese. She still flapped her mouth, so I snapped at her and told her to shut the F up. And then she said that reaction was over the top? Was I the asshole? Edit, I feel the need to say this. She saw his name written down during the situation and conversation. She is American, but lives here in Wales and has lived here for 2 years. Okay. I mean, if you saw it written down, like I read it wrong. Had she not immediately put like Reese behind the name, to me it looks like rice. And that could be wrong. Maybe it's an American interpretation. I don't know. But the fact that she argued about it, it's not your kid. That name has nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter. It matters to the mom, of course. Like, she gave her son that name. She spelled it that way because it meant something. And it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Like, across languages and cultures, there are different standard ways to spell different names. Like, my son has a pretty common name in America, but there's many different spellings of it. And so as soon as my husband proposed the name, my first question is, I said I liked it, but my first question is, how do you think it's supposed to be spelled? Because in my mind, there's only one correct way to spell it. And he said he didn't care, so it is spelled the correct way. But, yeah, OP, you are not the asshole. Yeah, I mean, she kept talking. She kept going on about something that was none of her business. Like, she wasn't gonna convince you to change the spelling of your kid's name because she didn't like it. There's no point in this conversation. She pushed you to the point where you had to snap at her. Was the reaction over the top? Maybe, but she pushed you there because your reasonable reaction did not suffice to get her to shut up. So you're right, she's wrong, and I hope that your over-the-top reaction taught her a lesson about minding her own damn business. Goodness gracious. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/AITH. AITH for turning up at the house my partner's car was at when he told me he was going somewhere else. Ooh. Me and this man had been together for just over 3 years. I suspected nothing. He told me he was going over to one of his guy friends' houses, a guy friend who I know and whose house I know. He left, and around 2 hours later, my friend texted me saying, "Who does partner know who lives on street name?" I said, "As far as I'm aware, nobody. Why?" She told me his car was parked in the driveway of a house on a certain street in our town, so clearly he wasn't at his friend's house. I don't know if this is psycho behavior, but I asked her for the address and I went there. I don't know why I didn't text him first or anything like that to see if he'd lie, or maybe he and his friend had gone to another person's house. I have no idea, but as soon as my friend said that, I just got in my car and went to see if it was his car. It was. I sat down the street and then texted him asking if he was having a good time. He texted back straight away and said he was, and that he and his friend were building his new PC together, so I knew instantly he was lying. I went over to the house and knocked on the door. A woman answered. I had no idea who she was, but I could tell by the way her face dropped that she knew exactly who I was. I kept my shit together and just said, "Tell him his shit will be on my front lawn when he wants to come and get it." And I left. Another hour passed and he came home while I was gathering up his things. He had the nerve to instantly start kicking off at me, telling me that going there was psycho and that I was crazy for pulling that stunt. I didn't say anything, just carried on gathering his things. He kept telling me to stop, and I didn't. He got in front of me and said, "Stop." And that's when I lost it. I shoved him away from me and started crying, told him to get his shit and get out. I then locked myself in my office room and waited for him to leave. This happened last night. Some of his shit is still here. He didn't take much. Seems like he just took a bunch of his clothes and his toiletries. Haven't heard from him, and I haven't texted him either. But was I the asshole for turning up to this house he was at? There's an update, but first I'll give my reaction to the original part. I don't think so. I don't think you're the asshole. It's not like you stalked him, you didn't follow him, someone gave you information, you were tipped off, and you went to investigate. That's fair. I think investigating is fair. And you did give him the benefit of the doubt, like maybe they went to another friend's house. So you text him, and he said, we're building a PC. Well, if you're building that friend's new PC, you would be at that friend's house. So, as soon as you knew he was lying, I don't think you're wrong. Like, clearly you are not going to tolerate cheating, as you shouldn't. Cheating is wrong. You weren't going to tolerate it, so you said so. Like, you made it clear, and you went back and you took care of business. I think what you did was fine. You didn't throw a fit. You didn't threaten anybody. You weren't aggressive when you went there to that house. You just found out what you needed to know, and you said what you had to say, and you left. You didn't cause a scene. You just didn't tolerate being lied to. So far, without the update, I think you're right. Let's see what happens in the update. Update. Thought I'd give a small update. He texted me late last night asking if we could talk. I said no. He showed up at my house at 7:30 this morning to get more of his things. He was quiet and then asked again if we could talk for just a minute. I told him to say what he needed to say. He said sorry, LOL, and proceeded to tell me that he was going to tell me. Turns out he's been seeing this girl for the last 4 months. He said he wasn't happy in our relationship, but couldn't or wouldn't give me any good reason why. So my guess is that he literally just got bored of me after 3 years. This girl is a lot younger than me, so that's another reason why I think he decided he wanted more than me. Why he wanted her more than me. Even though he gave no signs that he was unhappy. When I say I didn't suspect anything, I mean that. I told him that if he was unhappy, he should have broken up with me. Then started seeing this girl instead of cheating on me. He said it was complicated. Whatever. In regards to people saying and questioning in the comments why my friend would even bother texting me asking why my partner's car was parked in the drive of some random house, I don't know what to tell you. We live in a fairly small town. She happened to be driving down the street because she was delivering something to someone's house, because she was selling something on Facebook Marketplace. And she clocked his car. He has a unique colored car, and just decided to ask me who he knew who lived on that street. I don't think that's too odd of a thing to do, personally, especially with us living in a smaller town. It was dumb on his part, if anything. To those questioning, did I really not suspect a thing? No. Honestly, I didn't. His friend, who he said he was going to visit, is someone he visits often and always has in our relationship. This guy friend of his best friend, it turns out knew he was effing around with this girl. So he's another dickhead. I don't know why I instantly went over to this house. It was nothing to do with me subconsciously suspecting that he was cheating. I literally didn't have a clue. I just did what I did on pure curiosity alone, because in that moment, it was clear he lied to me, because he said he was going to his boy's house, and he obviously didn't. I mean, I hate that the people came out in the comments and questioned you about it. I mean, because I live in a smaller town, and when I see, like, my friends' cars driving out and about, like, I'll text them later and be like, hey, I saw you there. Or, like, if I wave to them driving down the road, I'll text them and be like, I can't believe you didn't wave at me. That's perfectly normal small town behavior, especially when you have a noticeable car. I like to drive white cars. They're not noticeable. Yeah, I don't want to say that's a sneaky thing. I think it's a privacy thing. To not, like, I don't put a lot of stickers or anything on my car because I just like for it to, I don't want to say that I like for it to be plain, but I like for it to be indistinct. So, yeah, I mean, going somewhere other than where you said you were going to be, when you know you have a distinct car that people could easily recognize and you're doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, it was dumb on his part. Maybe he subconsciously wanted to get caught because he was gonna tell you. Whatever. I don't believe him. Yes, you are right. Good friend for texting you and asking you. I love that. I'm glad you have good people on your side. Yeah, and him and the friend that knew what he was doing are both dickheads. I agree with you. You're right, and I hope you continue to trust those instincts and the next guy is better. All right, that is 5 stories for this week's episode of Was I in the Wrong? Thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you thought of these stories as well, and I will see you next time for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Bye.